Welcome to the room. Hope you can get a sound check, or hope I can get a sound check. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm testing. I'm getting things fired up on both TikTok and YouTube. So if you're in TikTok, please let me know that you can hear me and that the sound is okay. I've got a fan blowing to try to keep my camera from overheating tonight because I'm going to be on camera for quite a while with the after show coming up tonight. I just got to make sure that we're also on YouTube, so I'm going to double check that somehow here. Let's see. So again, sound checks. Anybody let me know that you can hear me? Anybody can hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Smash the like button. Get us started with a good start. Get us off to a good start if you would. That would be great. And also let me know if you can hear me. Thanks for the likes. Hopefully you're responding to my request. I still need a thumbs up or something. You hear me. Perfect. How's the sound? Is it good on TikTok? Is it fine for you? Do you hear my fan blowing in the background? I got two loud fans on in the room. Is the fans getting picked up by the mic, or is the condenser mic doing its job and filtering that out? Oh, you hear the fan. You hear the fan. Okay, let me see if I can kill a volume on it a little. I will take it down to the next level. Does that help? I just kicked it down to low instead of high. Did that help? It's better. Okay. Is it drowning me out a little at all, or is it okay, acceptable? It's not a bother? Okay. Thank you, Kimberly. How about YouTube? Is anybody confirming YouTube that they can hear me? I can hear the fan. Okay. Shelby, did you hear me change the volume of the fan? It's better. Sounds like it's better on YouTube. So, yeah, low fan speed is important. Maybe I don't need the fan at all. It's just that I have overheated once on the camera in here, and it's already hot in this room. However, I did open up a window, so as it starts to cool down, I can probably drop the fan out. We got about 5 minutes before we officially start. We'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. And then get started at the top of the hour as usual. I always start a little early. Some people complain. Some people then have to write in on the YouTube, hey, the actual a-hole starts talking at 14 minutes and 15 minutes into this audio clip. It is part of the problem of going 10 minutes live to warm up the room. It's going to have some dead space, unfortunately. And I'm really thankful when people actually do say, hey, he actually starts saying something of import at 15 minutes in or 14 minutes in or whatever the case may be. So thanks for the people who do those extra bits. That helps out the community, and it helps me as well, so I don't have to go trim it out and find all that time and do all the extra work. So that helps out everything. And I got to make sure my notes are on screen. So I got to make sure I can see both chats if I can. Did you say there, share your opinions after the stream? Yes, there's a special tonight. Thanks for the gift on YouTube. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Cloud. You're like the best. You're a freaking machine with gifts. Thank you so much. Yes, there's going to be a special after show tonight. I will talk about that at the top of the hour. It's going to be Devil's Advocates After Dark. I'm going to say all the things that I dance around saying on TikTok and YouTube. Well, we'll still be on YouTube, but you'll see. I'll explain it. So yes, that'll start at 7 p.m. So 1 hour from now, roughly. I'm going to shut this feed down. I'm going to do a live show for TikTok and YouTube for about 1 hour, and then I'll shut that down, and then we will move over to the other stream. And I'm going to tell you how to get to the other stream. That'll be in 1 hour from now, and that'll be the Devil's Advocates After Dark Uncensored Weekend Lee, where I say stuff. Sorry, early. Shouldn't go early. When I will be a little bit more loose with the mouth and a little bit more blunt with the questions. I get asked a lot of questions that frankly I can't answer on these platforms. I can answer it on YouTube, but not on TikTok. So we'll be careful. We'll be good. We'll follow all the guidelines and do this right for the first hour. And then after we finish our hour, we'll have a special After Dark show. It is 18 plus, adult only. No, we're not going to show any adult things. We're going to have adult conversations. So it is for 18 or older mature audiences only. I invite you to have a drink and get ready to join that after show if you're a mature audience and you're okay with that kind of stuff. It will have a little bit more vulgarity to it and off the cuff, and it will be more blunt, and we'll talk about some things that we can't talk about here. So if that kind of stuff is not your thing, don't check into the after show. But I'll explain that more in just a little bit here as we get ready. We're about 2 minutes away from starting the official thing, and I'll cover all of that in detail. Let me see. I got to get my notes on my screen. I have a really large screen, I feel, but it's not large enough with the amount of notes. And I'm watching a YouTube stream, I'm watching a TikTok stream, and I've got my note-taking app, and then I've got, oh, and look at that, I'm even showing some of it on YouTube. So I got to get my, and this is going to be a challenge, because as I get a little loosened up for the evening, it's going to get more and more challenging to get the technical stuff worked out. We'll see how this goes. Cross your fingers that we can make all this work tonight. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. And I got to rearrange my windows a bit more to give myself as much real estate. There we go. That should be good. All right, about 1 more minute. We're really low on attendance tonight. It sucks, really. I notice that Friday nights are my lowest attended night. I don't know why. I'm also having an inferiority complex. When I compare myself to other content creators, I'm so small. I feel inferior. I feel inadequate. I watch other content creators that have 500, 600, 700 people in their rooms, and I get lucky if I can get 150 people on a good night when I'm on a rant. So it would be nice not to feel inferior all the time, but it is what it is. So settle in. About 1 minute. We'll go on. We'll tell the 26 of you on TikTok. What a small showing on TikTok. What do we got on YouTube? I don't think I can see my YouTube audience numbers, so I have no idea who's on YouTube. I know Cloud and Shelby are on YouTube, so there's that. Hello, Carol. All right, it is 6 o'clock. Unbelievable. We have extremely low start, but you know what? I still have energy, so let's do this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain a few things about tonight's show and what we've got going on. Now, I do want to say that I have had somebody... So, first of all, at first I had no big news. And so I was going to be like, this is just going to be an open question and answer. I had a couple of big shows. I had a big show about the Dateline NBC special about that was on Bryan Kohberger, and then of course we had a big show about Luigi Mangione's letter that he allegedly wrote called The Meddler, Tales from MDC. I did 2 big lives on those. I didn't take any questions and answers on the Tales from NBC, or the Tales from MDC, The Meddler, on the Luigi Mangione, because I had so much to cover. I didn't want to take time to get into debates, arguments, questions. So tonight is that night where you're allowed to ask questions about the Meddler story that you didn't get to ask if you want those opinions. Now keep in mind, I'm going to have a more blunt answers section after this show is over. I'll explain that in a moment. However, what I wanted to let you know is, while I said there was no big news, Bryan Kohberger's news has been huge today. The Idaho 4 Bryan Kohberger story has huge news today. So I got about a half hour of content to cover on Bryan Kohberger, and then I have open questions and answers for the other half hour. What I need to ask is if there's anybody in here from Europe or somewhere in another country where you've stayed up late and you want to have me cover the, as some people call it, the international story first. So I just have general question and answers for you to ask about Luigi Mangione, but I have actual news to share with you about Bryan Kohberger and the Idaho 4. So normally I would start out with Bryan Kohberger, but if you are in here only to hear about Luigi like I said, some people call Luigi Mangione the international story, right? Because the Idaho 4 is kind of only interesting, I guess, to Americans, whereas Luigi Mangione has captured the minds of the entire world. So if you're in here and you're a late nighter and you want to get out of here soon, maybe it's more convenient for me to cover the quote-unquote international story, which is Luigi Mangione, which has a little bit more interest for our fellows in other countries. And if that's the case, let me know. If you don't have a preference, I would prefer to go Idaho 4 first and end with Luigi Mangione tonight. But if we have somebody in here that's just dying to get off this live as quickly as possible and they're only here for Luigi, let me know, and we'll consider just doing Luigi's question and answer first. And again, Luigi isn't news, it's questions and answers from the week that you might have. Yeah, the Kohberger has got big news. Yeah, Luigi does have a protective order that was issued. It doesn't say who it's for, so that is kind of news. It is kind of news. It's not huge news, especially since it's nothing more than they have filed a request for a protective order, but that's it. All right, so I said I was gonna give a moment to see people, but it looks like we don't have super need to go Luigi first. So because of that, I'm going to say this. Because there's some big news to discuss, in my opinion, big news to discuss. Thank you for the gift on TikTok. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Because there's big news on the Kohberger case, I want to cover that first. Let me first draw your attention up here on TikTok, above my head, on YouTube, beside my face, to what's on screen. I'm going to scroll, and I'm going to talk again briefly about what's coming up afterwards. We're going to talk for about an hour. I'm going to try to watch my clock and make sure we're done at 6:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's 6:04 now. And then I'm going to try to get out of this show at 6:55. What's going to happen at 6:65 is we're going to kill the TikTok feed. We're going to kill the YouTube feed on my primary channel. I have a secondary channel that you can see on screen if your phone's big enough and you can read it. It's called Devil's Advocates Backstage. We're going to have I'm giving you the backstage pass tonight. I'm going to have an After Dark, Devil's Advocates After Dark. That's where I'm going to pull no punches. I'm going to be a lot more vulgar. I'm going to be a lot more blunt. I'm going to answer a lot of questions that I dance around with on TikTok because of the fear of getting in trouble, violating any community guidelines, that kind of stuff like that. So I have to be a good boy, and I have to keep it kind of separated from my main content on YouTube, because again, while YouTube will allow me to say the things that I will say in the after show, the After Dark show, they will allow me to say it. They will also not promote it to as many people if I keep talking about sketchy stuff. So in order to keep my main videos on YouTube being promoted to a lot of people, I'm going to have a separate account, this backstage account, where I can talk about things that aren't going to hurt every video that I make, because that guy just talks about some sketchy shit. So I hope you understand. So pay attention real quick. I'm going to give you a brief introduction to what's happening one more time, and then we're going to get into Kohberger right away on the big news on Kohberger. Then we'll finish tonight until 6:55 talking about questions and answers you might have about Luigi Mangione. We will talk about the protective order motion a little bit. But here it is. On the screen, you should be able to see Devil's Advocates Backstage. It is a YouTube channel. YouTube does not allow you guys to take the mic and talk with me on the microphone in any easy way. So if you would like to watch that other channel, you'll want to find Devil's Advocates Backstage, and you'll want to join the live when I start after this is over. I'll start another stream on Devil's Advocates Backstage, and that's where you can watch that and you can hear it. If you want to discuss and have your voice so that we can talk and have a discussion and have a few drinks together and talk and BS and really relax tonight and have a good social conversation, if you want to participate in that, you're going to need to get into Discord, my Discord channel, for the audio, and I will pipe that audio from Discord into the YouTube channel so that everybody can hear your voice and I can hear your voice and people can listen and participate. So you are welcome to join the After Hours party just as a fly on the wall. You're welcome to join and ask questions in typed chat, which I will respond to because I can talk like a MFer, as you can tell. But if you would like to participate and talk to me and let me hear your beautiful voice, you can join on Discord. That Discord channel is up there. It's got the address, the https discord.gg/ and a big funky number. You should be able to get to that Discord channel. I would recommend you might even go do that now just to get signed in and into the channel so that you're ready. You do not have to pay for Discord. Discord is free. It should be available as a web app on your browser. But some people can or prefer to choose to download the PC client or the probably I'm sure it's for Apple as well. So there's a desktop client that you could download, or you can just use the internet, a browser. It will need access to your microphone if you want to talk. So again, I will try to cover all that at the end of the night as well. Also, one more thing. If you look on screen above my head in TikTok, there are two pages, if you will, two information. The first block has the information for where to find me on YouTube and where to get into the Discord channel if you want to talk. The second link with the play button on YouTube is a direct link to the live. So if you click on that, it'll actually take you to that other channel and pipe you into the live. So there's I'm trying to make it as easy as you can. devilsadvocates.info is the website where those pages are at. You can direct jump to the live after this is over and we start the after party. You can direct jump there. I'm sorry, we're probably taking too much time for those who don't want to be part of the after show, the after dark. So let's get into the Bryan Kohberger news. Now, as you know, recently in the Bryan Kohberger case, Dateline NBC did a special called The Terrible Night on King Road. It is what many of us call in the Kohberger conspiracy theory / true crime community that believes in the presumption of innocence. It was a pure hit piece. It was designed to show you, the public, right before Bryan Kohberger goes to trial, all the reasons why Bryan Kohberger is guilty of the murders of the 4 individuals in Idaho, and why it's no question going into the trial that you should do so. It was a hit piece. It had horrible bits of information, and it had several pieces of information that never have been heard before. Shocking things that were like, where the hell did that come from? We've been following this case for 2.5 years. No one's ever said anything as far as I know, some of the things that came out in that episode. Here's the shocking news, and we're going to look at the documents for a little while tonight. Here's the shocking news. Hitler agreed. Hitler agreed. Someone in law enforcement, either current law enforcement or former law enforcement involved with the case, is leaking information to the press, and it's obvious that they have leaked information that was designed to be kept from the public, and it's been leaked. Hitler is essentially pissed. He has ordered an investigation to find out who leaked this information to the press. He wants them held accountable. Heads are going to roll. And he said, if anybody makes any attempts to shut this down or hide your tracks on who leaked it to the press, he'll come after you and hold you in contempt of court. If you've got anything that's in your systems designed to automatically delete your trail coming up in the past, you need to shut it off right now, or I'll hold you in contempt of court. Hitler wants to know whose ass talked to the media immediately. He's also indicated, I'm going to show you the writings. He's also indicated that whoever leaked that information to the press has jeopardized this case. They have made it harder for a fair trial for Bryan Kohberger. They have cost the state of Idaho a lot of money, because right now they have to work harder to impanel a jury that isn't biased because of that NBC bullshit. So he's basically said, you just cost us a ton of money, because now it's going to be harder for us to find a jury. And oh, by the way, we may now have to sequester the jury and not allow them to come out and see what's in the public, because you people now I'm giving you the devil's advocate spin on this. This is not how Hitler talks. But he basically is saying in legal terms, hey assholes, you cost us a ton of money and a ton of extra time, and you may have just jeopardized this case because somebody's running their mouth, and I want to know who's running their mouth right now. What's super interesting about that is to theorize what was in that show that was true and they ran their mouth about it. I've got theories, and here's what I'm going to tell you right off the bat. My theory isn't that evidence now that proves that Kohberger is guilty is what was leaked. It's information. It's new information. It may be true information, but I will tell you not. I'll tell you what. In my opinion, it actually might look good for Kohberger. And that they leaked it to the public could be a major oh shit for the prosecution even. So Hitler wants some asses. He wants to know who leaked this to the press. I'm going to cover what he said, and hopefully we can do that in about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to tell you what I think the new information is that he's so pissed about. So let's see if we can pull this up. I've got a million different things on my screen. You should be seeing now the document released 5/15. That's yesterday if I'm doing my math correctly. 5/15. This is a document and records hold order. This is by Hitler in response to what bullshit just happened. Now I'm going to highlight some areas. You can see I've got some yellow highlights, some blue highlights, some green highlights, and some purple highlights. So let's go through the yellow highlights in particular. It's kind of one thought process I'm going to go through. I'm going to try to center this better for you on YouTube. Sorry, on TikTok. TikTok's not getting a great view. I got to pull back just a hair on the zoom level, I think. Ooh, you poor bastards on TikTok. I'm having a hard time reducing the view, and so I will do my best. Just follow along as best you can. All right, here it is. Based on sensitive information not previously publicly circulated, new sensitive information that had not previously been publicly circulated. This is Hitler's complaint. You people have just released information that has not been publicly available until just now with Dateline NBC's hit piece. that was reported during a recent Dateline TV program related to this case. And the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, it appears likely that someone currently or formerly associated with law enforcement or the prosecution team has violated this court's non-dissemination order. That is a strong statement by Hitler. Some MFer who works currently for law enforcement or prosecution or formerly is leaking shit to the press, and you just put it on Dateline NBC, and you just cost us a ton of money and may have influenced this trial. All right? I'm going to talk about what the info was leaked. I'm going to talk about what my theory is about. It's theories because he didn't specify what specifically. I have a really good idea. A really good idea. Yellow, we're going to follow yellow. It is hereby ordered that all persons, listen to this. This is some strong language. It is hereby ordered that all persons who at any time, past or present, worked directly or indirectly by employment, contract, consultation, or otherwise, for or on behalf of any law enforcement or prosecution agency engaged in investigation or the prosecution of persons for the murders that are the subject of this instant case, are hereby prohibited from deleting, discarding, overwriting, destroying, altering, or otherwise making unavailable any, whether electronic or material form. Like he's like, I'm going to spell it out so you can have no mistake. You better not delete anything electronic. You better not delete any audio files. You better not delete anybody's history on this file. You better not delete. I'm going to spell it all out for you. You delete one thing to cover what you just did up, and I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. This is about as strong as the language as you can get from a judge to say, I'm going to have someone's ass for this, and you better not stop me from figuring out who did it. And it's all based on law enforcement and the prosecution, which is funny because Stephen Hitler has not looked like he gives a shit about a fair trial. He looks like he's been convinced that Kohberger is guilty. But as one YouTuber I watched recently said, maybe we've misunderstood Hitler wrong. Maybe Hitler is a stickler for the rules, and he's pissed that the prosecution just broke the rules. He continues. Records, files, documents, metadated messages, emails, text messages, direct or private messages. He's like, don't you dare delete a thing. Yes, this is my interpretation of what Hitler is saying. Don't you dare delete a thing. I want to know who leaked to the press. And don't you dare delete anything. No private messages, nothing. No phone logs, no logs of communications, regardless of whether they were made or kept on a work or personal account. Don't give me this shit that you leaked something privately. I want your personal emails. I want your personal phone. Yes, I am hot. I'm speaking. I'm doing what Hitler can't do. Hitler can't rage from the machine, right? He's got to be professional. So I'm going to rage for him. You MFers, whoever did this, I'm going to have your ass. And don't you dare hide this. All right. Device or messages app that in any way relate to or document the fact or substance of communications with third persons, including representatives of the media. In other words, I want to know who's talking to the media, and don't you dare hide who's leaking to the media. Or other persons or entities outside of law enforcement which communications in any way relate to, refer to, or concern the investigation of Bryan Kohberger, the facts or allegations uncovered or reported to law enforcement concerning Bryan Kohberger, or the investigation into the homicides that are subject of the current or then potential criminal prosecution of Bryan Kohberger, collectively known as documents or singularly a document. Again, that could not be any stronger from a judge. He is livid, in my opinion, that someone is leaking information to the media, and he wants it stopped. Not only does he want it stopped immediately, he wants to make sure he knows who's been doing it all this time. And you better not try to hide your tracks. All such documents or materials or records that could potentially constitute a document, even if it's uncertain whether such meet the criteria. In other words, don't play any games with them. Don't play any games and say, well, this wasn't a record, Your Honor. It was just a text message. No, he's saying, I don't give a shit whether you think it's again, I'm interpreting for Stephen Hitler. I don't give a shit whether you think it's a document or not. If you even remotely have something that could be deemed by somebody as a document, don't you effing delete it. Don't you dare delete it. I don't want to hear any argument that, oh, well, that wasn't really a document. That was a personal email. No, I've already spelled out. I want your personal emails. I want your personal phone communications. I want everything. I want to know who did this. I want to know who did this. It shall be preserved and must be protected from deletion, alteration, or loss until further notice of the court. Any feature on any device or account that is set to automatically delete or overwrite information that could be covered by this order must immediately be disabled. So in other words, he's saying, I want to make sure you understand. Not only can you not delete it, but if you're going to try to pull some BS like, oh, you know what, we only keep records for 30 days and it's been 31 days and so that got automatically deleted. He said, stop. Stop immediately. Cancel anything, cancel anything that's set to auto delete. You will not delete a freaking thing until we get to the heart of who's leaking information to the public. This is a huge oh shit. And I want to say, for myself, I feel vindicated. Several of us YouTubers went on there and said that's the most disgusting hit piece we've ever seen. Thank God Hitler actually has the same kind of idea. That was a disgusting hit piece. Should have never happened. You may have just cost the state of Idaho a shit ton of money. You may have jeopardized Kohberger's ability to get a fair trial. And I want someone's ass and I want to know who did it immediately. And nobody better cover that up. It is further ordered that within 7 days, apparently it was written within 14 days. I don't know who did the handwriting change. That doesn't seem legit. I'll tell you right now, it wasn't initialed as a change in the document, so I don't know who did this. It was originally written as 14 days. You have 14 days. The state shall submit to the court in camera a list of all individuals within law enforcement and prosecuting agencies, past or present, who are known to have had any access to any facts related to the investigation of the defendant, including but not limited to surveillance videos of the suspect vehicle 1, the AT&T records of the defendant's cell phone. Let's stop there for a moment. I realize I'm going to stop mid-sentence, but I'm hot about this. At least 5 times, I believe, Dateline said, we have been given information by the FBI directly about cell phone records that has never been released before. They said that like 5 times. An FBI insider. They also said several times that an insider, who we're not going to name, has told us details that we've never had and never been released to the public before. But at like 5 times, in relation to cell phone records in particular, they said that the FBI has given them cell phone records. Hitler is calling out the cell phone records. I want to know who leaked the AT&T defendant's cell phone records. We know it was from the FBI. We already know that Ann Taylor has called out Nick Balance from the FBI as doing shady shit with the cell phone records. So they want to know who did it. Well, I can probably tell you who did it. I'm going to guess Nick Balance, but maybe we'll find out. And the content of the defendant's cell phone and other electronic devices. What do you mean content of his cell phone? They had tons of pictures on the Dateline NBC thing of girls that Kohberger had allegedly taken pictures of and found pictures of girls online, co-eds at the college, and downloaded them to their phone. And then they showed it to America. Look, these are the images of women on Bryan Kohberger's phone. Hitler wants to know who got that phone as well. Who got the images off of Kohberger's phone? That shit's supposed to be kept from the public. How did somebody get a hold of Kohberger's phone and release images from his phone? That's one of the things that may have been put out there as well. The content of the defendant's cell phone and other electronic devices and social media accounts, including internet search history. That was another thing. They talked all about what exactly Kohberger was searching for, even how he spelled things when he searched for it. Hitler wants to know who's leaking his search information history out to the public, and therefore prejudicing the public by saying, oh, well, only a killer would search for Ted Bundy. Well, he's a criminology student. Of course he's going to search for Ted Bundy. But they gave the public, oh, this is what he searched for, and this is how he typed it. And he was looking for, among other things, information about women who were drugged or sleeping or being choked or whatever. And he's like, who leaked all that information? That's never been released to the public. Where's that coming from? And again, maybe you say, oh, well, good for them. They should let us all know what's going on. It's shadier and deeper than you think. I'm looking at my time to see how we're doing. I'm okay. I got to speed this up a hair. All right. He wants to know about the history of the photographs, the information associated with the defendant's Amazon account, and any information referenced in the above-mentioned Dateline episode regarding the case. The state is further requiring to provide a copy of the order to all such individuals and document that it has done so. Document that. I want you to investigate this on your own. I want you to report to me who the person is that I need to go after, and I want you to give it to me in writing as soon as you can, within 14 days, maybe 7. I don't know about that scratch out. Failure to comply with this order may be the basis in finding of a contempt of court and such other civil and criminal consequences. People could go to jail. Hitler literally is threatening people with jail, civil and criminal prosecution, if they don't tell him who leaked the information to the media. All right, let's go up and hit the blue thing. Such violations not only undermine the rule of law, potentially by persons charged with upholding it, Again, I say all the time on the Devil's Advocates, law enforcement should be held to a higher standard. You need to be held to a higher standard. If he's guilty, we all want the guilty party to be convicted. We all want that. But you have to be held to a higher standard. You can't plant evidence. You can't fabricate evidence. You can't coerce testimony. You can't bring up false witnesses. You can't do bullshit. You must be held to a higher standard. Such violations not only undermine the rule of law, potentially by persons who are charged with upholding that law, is what he's basically saying, but also significantly impede the ability to seat an impartial jury. This is where Hitler's saying, you're costing us money. It's going to be harder now for us to get a jury seated, and will likely substantially increase the cost to be borne by taxpayers of Latah County to prosecute this case by extending the time that it will take to seat a jury and potentially requiring a lengthy period of juror sequestration. That's Hitler saying, whoever leaked this information to the media has just cost the state a shit ton of money, and the taxpayers money, and the taxpayers should be pissed. In a perfect world, people aren't just looking for hit pieces. They're looking for, you just cost me a bunch of money, a-hole. And let me tell you this. If you were a person who believes that Bryan Kohberger is the bad guy and should be prosecuted, you should be furious that somebody leaked this information, because Bryan Kohberger could get off because of how they're jeopardizing his right to a fair trial. So if you believe he's guilty, you also should not be a fan of leaked information, because it just makes it easier for Bryan Kohberger to get off. Right? So I'm not saying Bryan Kohberger is guilty, but I'm saying if you believe that Bryan Kohberger is guilty, you should be pissed about this as well, because they can help him walk, because they won't obey the law. Accordingly, the court finds that it is imperative to attempt to see that the source of such a leak is identified and held to account, and that doing so is the best deterrent for future violations. Hitler is saying, we need to know who it is and call them out and hold them accountable, be that civil or criminal penalties against whoever leaked this information. They need to be held accountable, because it's the only future deterrent that law enforcement won't keep doing this bullshit forever. Make no bones about it, people. If you've been a person who believes that Hitler is completely into the guilt of Bryan Kohberger, he's pissed about this. And maybe, to be fair, maybe he does believe Kohberger's guilty, and he's pissed that somebody just about threw the case. Somebody's going to ruin the case against Bryan Kohberger because they're pulling bullshit. And he's like, maybe he's a good guy and he wants to let people know we need to play by the law. Or maybe he's just like, we had him, but you're about to jeopardize the whole case, and I want someone's ass because you're going to ruin everything. And I think we can end with the purple comment, and then we should have time for questions and answers about that. And then a little bit of time about questions and answers and comments about Luigi Mangione. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we will wrap up and go to the After Dark show. So the purple comment at the end, within 7 days. So there's the 7 days. Within 7 days. We'll look up here. I did point out, here's a sentence that says 14 days, but it was scratched out to 7. Usually you initial a document when you make a change to the document. So that's the part that I'm kind of fuzzy about. There's no initial saying that was changed. But it does have it right here in the closing paragraph. Within 7 days, the state must also provide to the court a written plan design. Maybe it's something else. That's maybe 14 days is how long they do find out what happened. But in 7 days, they need to have a written plan on how they're going to make sure this doesn't happen in the past again. So that could be the discrepancy. If you follow my logic, they might have 14 days to completely uncover who leaked it to the press, but 7 days to make sure that they have a plan in place so this shit doesn't happen again, while they maybe have a little bit extra time to reveal who did the leak in the first place. So you have 7 days by the state to provide the court a written plan designed to prevent the future unauthorized disclosure of information related to this case, what is done or proposes to do, or to identify any violations the court's non-dissemination orders previously entered. All right, I said I was almost wrapped up. I forgot. I have points to make about what I think that documentary said that was previously unreleased information. Here's what I think. This is my best guess of what was leaked that may be true. And I want to point out to you, it doesn't mean Bryan Kohberger's any more guilty. In fact, I can tell you it might actually make it look like Bryan Kohberger's less guilty. Here's what was leaked that I think is what they're furious about. Ethan Chapman was apparently asleep in bed and was killed with one arterial strike. One blow that cut his artery and he bled out. And then it said the killer carved up Ethan's legs. I realize this is super graphics. Let's just leave it at that. I'll say it once on here. Now, when we do the after show, the Devil's Advocates After Dark, we'll be as blunt as you want to be with the description. But I want to point out something. So I believe that that's part of the thing. Nobody had heard, as far as I know, nobody had heard Ethan Chapin's wounds described that way. They also, by the way, completely undermined Kaylee Gonzalez and her wounds. Her wounds have been repeatedly stated to be the worst of anyone. They blew over her in the NBC Dateline special like nothing practically happened to Kaylee. Oh, he went up there for Maddie. Kaylee kind of got taken out. Xana caught him in the act. He chased Xana down the stairs. Ethan was sleeping in the bed, and the killer took out Ethan with one arterial cut, cutting an artery. Then carved up his legs. I said I wasn't going to say it more than once. I just did. And then the other piece of information, which I believe hasn't been stated before, sat down on a chair and left an imprint on a chair in Xana and Ethan's room. Sat down on a chair. That was some new information. So now all of a sudden we're hearing that the killer was tired or exhausted, they theorized, from having just wiped out 4 people on 2 floors and chasing people around the house, making lots of noise, by the way, they said, and then sat down in a chair and left an imprint on the chair. That's all new information. That's the shit that I think that Hitler's furious about. Who told people about Ethan's wounds and about the killer leaving a print on a chair? And again, this can lead to real questions about how much can be done in 8 to 10 minutes. Can he have carved up 2 people now? If he carved up somebody else upstairs and now he's carving up a second person downstairs and he's exhausted supposedly and sitting down to take a break. How do you do that all in 8 minutes? It leads to, and by the way, there's another hint, the prosecution is going to say there was more than one killer in that house at the same time. That's the other big piece of information. Here's the last big shocker that happened. The defense has now officially submitted their response that they know they have identified. The defense has identified another suspect and indicated there's more than one suspect, and that they planted evidence on Bryan Kohberger. That is a shocker that's been kind of underswept by the media. The defense has literally came forward and told Hitler, we have a name for you. We believe that we know there's an alternative suspect. It was multiple people, and they planted evidence on Bryan Kohberger. Hitler is going to allow the prosecution a little time to digest that and to argue that's bullshit, that there's not enough evidence to bring in an alternate suspect theory, and he will then rule on whether or not the defense can bring up an alternate suspect. But make no bones about it. The defense has named someone. They have a name. They believe that they know that there's another person who was involved in this crime, and they indicated it's more than one person. They have not told us who that name is. I have theories, and I want to mention one more thing about how am I doing on time? Okay, so I have theories. Let me tell you something. Let's talk about Ethan's wounds without talking about Ethan's wounds too graphically. It was stated in the Dateline piece that Ethan had one major cut to an artery, and that he had extra wounds to his legs. Now, there's a YouTuber who many of you follow who has indicated that that is consistent with something that they teach in prison. I'm gonna add an extra piece of information just for you to chew on. It is true that in prison it is commonly taught by people, if you want to take somebody out and you want to finish somebody in prison, that cutting them in the groin between the legs in the major femoral artery is a sure way. If you cut them in the right place in a femoral artery, there's no coming back from it. Okay? And that's taught to people in prison. A lot of people get taught those kind of gruesome things in prison. So to Jay Embry's credit, that's the YouTuber who was talking about, he thinks it's a prison person who got out of prison and did this. Fair enough. And that is something that would be consistent. So did the Dateline saying that Ethan was cut by a major artery and he had specific wounds to his leg indicate that somebody went after the inside leg femoral artery? All new information. Now, let me tell you one other piece of information for you to sit and digest on. You guys can get as deep into that as you want in the After Dark show. We're not going to get into it here. There's another individual who would know how to do something like that. Let me say that anybody who's taught knife fighting skills, elite forces, special forces, military people, anyone who's taught I've got a friend who just simply was taught martial arts, and he was taught in martial arts, knife fighting techniques. And the first thing they teach you in knife fighting techniques is go for the groin and the femoral artery. It is commonly known knowledge. Anyone who's taught in knife fighting, and that would be soldiers, elite soldiers, hand-to-hand combat specialists. So, is the killer somebody trained in those kind of wounds? Knife fighting, specifically how to take out somebody's femoral artery quickly. Now that's super graphic, and I'm going to stop because I don't want to get shut off from TikTok. We're going to save that deeper conversation, that more blunt conversation for the After Dark show if you want to participate. That's the kind of stuff you're going to hear in the After Dark show. Probably a lot of other things as well. But we're not going to talk about it anymore on this. You chew on that for a little bit. If you watched my content enough, you know who I'm thinking when I say that there's a special forces, elite combat kind of person who would have been trained in knife fighting and would know exactly how to go after that kind of injury. But I think that's part of the information that has never been leaked to the public before that Hitler is furious about. And again, it goes to leading to a potential other suspect. Was Bryan Kohberger taught that? Let me tell you this, there's no indication whatsoever Bryan Kohberger was taught specialties in knife fighting. He boxed at a gym for weight loss, but there's no indication. Oh, but wait a minute. Bryan Kohberger filleted fish. I forgot about that episode. That is, of course, if you don't believe his boss, who said Bryan Kohberger never got to the point of being taught how to fillet fish because he didn't last long enough on the job. But if you want to go with if you know how to fillet fish, you know how to take out a femoral artery. Okay, fair enough. Some people will just not accept that there's a potential other suspect in this case who would have been trained to do these very types of injuries. All right. So as far as I know, let's talk about Luigi for a little bit, and then I'll open up for questions and answers on both Kohberger and Luigi Mangione. A protective order has been issued, I believe. The prosecution has requested, and the defense has signed off on it. That's what I understand to be true. That there's certain individuals that they want protected from having their names released to the public. Who they are, we don't know, because the names have been protected from being released to the public. And other than we know that a document was filed, a protection order of some kind was filed, requesting that certain people have their names hidden from the public on who's involved, and that the defense agreed to those names being protected and didn't fight it, that's what we know. That somebody is being protected, they don't want the public to find out, either for fear that the public is going to do something bad to a witness, or for fear that somehow Luigi Mangione is a criminal mastermind and he'll have somebody go take out a witness so that they don't testify against him. Whatever the case may be, a protection order has been issued to protect certain names involved in the case so the public won't know who is going to testify against Luigi Mangione, and that's been signed off on. Not a huge deal, but it was a breaking kind of news. All right, people, we have about 20 minutes left for open questions and answers. I'm watching both streams. If my moderators have found any comments that need to be pinned, and you can pin, please pin a comment for me. Let me know if I need to pay attention to that. I'll watch the chat here for a minute. I'll put on my nice little reading glasses because my text is small and see if I can see that. Thanks for the follow, by the way, for people who haven't heard me before and haven't followed my account. I think you're going to find a lot of good stuff on my on my YouTube account. I have a lot of long-form videos. I talk about the Bryan Kohberger situation. You have a couple of long-form videos about a particular individual I believe would be trained to do some of the knife fighting techniques that I said might be possible. So if you want to know who that is or you don't know, follow those videos, watch those videos. Thank you for the follows on TikTok and on YouTube. All right. What do we got here? Partly from the protection order for Luigi. Anything else? Info regarding Luigi. There's nothing super new about Luigi other than I got I got busted a little bit by people. Not everybody appreciated my analysis of the MDC, the Medler story. Some of you thought it was brilliant and good questions and worth discussing, and other people think that I really need to get a job and find something better to do with my time because Luigi Mangione told us already what things were, and therefore whatever Luigi Mangione told us is the truth. So I got a lot of hate for that. Like for example, I made a comment that Luigi's letter log looks a little bit like a cipher, and someone was like, "You're an idiot, sir. The letter is the first two initials of the initials of the person who sent the letter, the last two digits of the zip code, and the date. You're an idiot. He tells us what it's." Well, yeah, okay, you're right. If you believe that what you're told is always the truth, then by the way, we shouldn't have anybody in prison, because almost every single person in prison says they didn't do it. And if you say, well, he told us he didn't do it, why isn't everybody just walking? Because if we just go with what people tell us, the simple answer, nobody would be in prison, because they told us they didn't do it. Anyways, I got a lot of people busted my proverbial you know what, because they think I was making huge stretches in the case. And that's fine. I did preface that night, by the way. I did preface the Medler story by saying, this is going to be something different. This is going to be something you don't usually hear from me. Take it with a grain of salt. If you don't like this kind of thing, don't judge my whole content by what I'm talking about that Medler letter. It was a theory crafting. I called it that. It's theory crafting. If that was a message, what was the message? That was about. Any other comments? Boy, it's super quiet on YouTube. Is there nobody on YouTube watching us? I can't see the follower count, but it has been dead. Karen Zelensky made a comment, a couple people but it looks like YouTube's got nothing going on. So if you got questions in YouTube, I've been looking over there, but chat hasn't moved for forever. How about YouTube? Or how about TikTok, I mean? Yeah, the cipher theory is still something I'm going to look into, but obviously I'm going to be a little bit more. You just pinned a comment. Missed the start of the live. Do you think BK did this with someone, or is he not involved at all? Good question. Now, those are the kind of questions that I'm going to be more blunt about in the after show, but I will make an answer right now. I have said for quite a long time, I don't think Bryan Kohberger did it alone if he did. And he may have only been the getaway driver. There's a gut feeling on my part. There's a gut feeling that Bryan Kohberger is involved in some way, but I don't know that he went into the house. And if he did go into the house, I don't believe he went into the house alone. And so what I'm telling you is the story that the prosecution has and the narrative that the media has is incorrect. In my opinion, it couldn't have happened the way they said it did. So, does that mean Bryan Kohberger has no guilt at all in the situation? I don't know. It's possible he has no guilt in the situation. But my gut tells me he might be involved in some way. But I don't think it happened the way that they said it did, and I'm about wanting to make sure that we get it right, that we know who all was involved, so that a killer doesn't walk because it was easier to get the getaway driver than it was the people who went into the house, for example. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks for pinning that for me. I think that was Just Curious that pinned that for me, one of my moderators. From YouTube, what if the 4 figures running in the band field in 2022 was the 4 victims being relocated unless someone saw bodies removed by a coroner? It's a good question, Fifth Element. I don't want to belittle the question. I don't personally believe the victims are alive. I think the monumental cover-up that would require those people to still be alive is a bit hard for me to swallow, personally, but I don't blame you for questioning that. But I feel like there's just too much in the narrative to believe that the victims are just in witness protection. So that's my gut. But again, please don't take offense that they think there's anything wrong with asking the question. I don't feel like the victims are alive. I know that there's some people and there's some reasons to believe that, and I will be digging into it further. But my gut tells me there's too many things that would be colossal to hide those people in witness protection. So that's my gut feeling. Thanks for asking, and I hope you take that well. Here's another pin. Is the song From the Bottom Up from Linkin Park about Luigi? Yeah, Callie, so that's one of the things that people busted me a little bit about. I think the video shows an individual, I guess it's the drummer from the band, in prison, looking a lot like Luigi Mangione, sitting in his prison cell, Lotus style, which has a reference to Mangione, I believe. I believe that there's images in that video of medical, IV bags being hung up and being blown away. There's references to somebody putting on a mask and giving themselves up to police. I don't know that the song itself was written about Luigi Mangione. I personally believe that the music video was an ode to Luigi Mangione, meaning the band, somebody in the band, maybe the drummer, is a fan of the story and wanted to at least have some of that imagery put in. It could be as simple as that. I think somebody in Linkin Park, in the band, or the director, somebody associated with the making of the music video, wanted to make an ode to Luigi Mangione. Now, whether or not the band Linkin Park is a huge Luigi Mangione fan and wrote the song about him, I don't know. Looking at the lyrics, briefly. The lyrics didn't really ring a bell as something specifically talking about Luigi, but the video certainly has a lot of things to think about, doesn't it? The lyrics kind of do look at it. Yeah, to be fair, I only listened to the lyrics, not looked them up online to read them. My wife read them and she's like, I don't really see it, but I didn't do a double sniff check myself, not to call my wife on the carpet that she couldn't find it. But the point being is that when I was listening with my ear, I wasn't finding anything like, oh my God, what did he just say? A lot of times I do that. When I hear even one line, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I got to listen to that whole song more because of that line right there. And nothing really caught my attention. So I would have to go back and look at it. And if you are saying the lyrics do kind of make you think of Luigi, I'll go back and review the lyrics a little bit more deeply. I will say, like I said, a lot of people didn't appreciate my depth that I went into the analysis. They think that I'm just super creative and have too much time on my hand and I'm making shit up because, again, like for example, the tuna packets in the bottom of the bag. I made a comment that that's such a weird thing to say about the tuna packets on the bag, and then somebody said, is he making a reference to El Tuna? And I was like, wow, that might be it. And someone was like, you're a moron. He literally has told people he eats tuna and ramen in prison. It's as simple as that. It's tuna. He told us he eats tuna. And I'm like, okay, fair and dandy, again, if you believe that everything that's written is just face value. But if there's a message being sent, things could be cryptic as well. Fifth Element ads on YouTube, can't find proof that the bodies have been removed from the house. Anyone see a video, maybe local news, I can't find anything. You're right. You're right. Nobody, I don't know that anybody has seen it. I agree with you. And that is pretty, nobody's seen any, as far as I know, nobody's seen any wounds either. Nobody's seen any graphic photos of the actual victims in the house. So take it for what it's worth. Either really good cover, they've got really good gag order on it, and they've made sure that didn't get out, or they don't want you to know some big secret. Yeah, the vegan thing with the vegan thing, people were saying, well, you know, Luigi wouldn't eat fish because he's a vegan or whatever. And again, you're in prison. You don't have a lot of choice over your menu. It's possible, if you're a person that doesn't really eat meat, that fish is the lesser evil if you're going to try to get protein. So I could make, because it's my name, the devil's advocate's argument that even a person who would prefer not to eat a certain way in jail is going to eat fish for protein. Any other comments? What are we looking at time? We got 6:45. We got about 10 minutes. I'm going to shut down at 6:55. So it's my time. It's 6:45. Thank you for the gifts, by the way. People have been dropping gifts. Thank you so much for the gifts. Please subscribe to, again, let me pull it up on the screen. Please subscribe to the Devil's Advocates 2024, Devil's Advocates 2024 on YouTube for long-form content. Sorry. And then if you want to be part of the after party, this is the first time we're doing this. I'm going to have an after party after this live is over on my Backstage account, Devil's Advocates Backstage. The Backstage account, by the way, is about me as a man, as the human being, not about my stories. So I've got a whole bunch of different content streams. I've got my main channel, Devil's Advocates 2024 on YouTube, where I do long-form content about the Idaho 4 case and Luigi Mangione. I will be covering other cases as time goes by, but those are my two main cases. Then I have the Backstage account, which is kind of what is called a family account. It's about me, it's about my wife, it's about my family, it's about how I grew up, it's about my father and my mother. It's about the things that shaped me as a man. That's just for people who want that little extra thing of wanting to get to know me. But on that Backstage account, Devil's Advocates Backstage, which is not going to ever be a big thing for big, huge amounts of people, that's where we're going to have the after hours party tonight. Because again, you're going to get to know me a little bit more as a person. And again, we will be talking about the cases. We will be talking about the cases in the after hour show, but it's more the weekend Lee that you don't usually see, where I let my hair down, which I don't have a whole lot of hair left. But that's what we're going to do with that on that. So if you want to be part of the Backstage show, the after hours, when we shut this down, it is for 18 and older, mature audiences only. There's going to be vulgarity, there's going to be bad language, there's going to be blunt stuff. We're going to talk in detail about things that I wouldn't talk about on a channel that is designed for mass consumption. So it's just going to be a private party. You are invited to join on voice and talk to us. In order to do that, you're going to want to sign into the YouTube channel for the video if you want to see my face. If you don't want to see my face, I get it. I get it. But if you want to see my reactions and my face reactions, you want to sign into the YouTube live. But if you want the voice of everyone else who's talking to me, you're going to need to join the Discord channel. There's an address right there. If you need the address, keep asking for the address. You can also jump to the After Dark link on the page that's shown there. It's got the little play button that for YouTube. That should take you to that other channel where we'll be going. Discord is listed right there above my head. If you're looking at TikTok, it's got a website address, HTTP. It's up there really tiny. So I want to give people time to do that. Please remember to like the video. We have 19 people in the room and only 6 likes. Wow, just 19 people on 19 people on YouTube. I was like, wow, did we only have 19 on TikTok? Okay, I got 75. Again, I feel so small and inadequate, people. You know, there's other content providers that pull in 700 people every night. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but apparently I'm just not. I'm not connecting with a certain type of audience. But it is what it is. Maybe when these trials get started, things will change. Maybe when things get started. Any other here's a pinned comment from TikTok. Do you think my pinned comment went away. Can you pin it again, or do I need to not respond to that? Yes, retaining loyal viewers is the most important thing. Do you think one of the witnesses for Luigi is that author? Prosecution is. Do you think one of the witnesses for Luigi is that author? Are you talking about which author are you talking about? Are you talking about Rosenthal, or are you talking about somebody else? Gurwinder Bogle? Maybe. Yes. Yeah. He may be brought in. Sure. Gurwinder Bogle wrote an article or two that supposedly Luigi Mangione referenced about, are you basically an NPC? And that Luigi had a conversation with him and said that he didn't want to be an NPC. So yeah, and if Gurwinder comes in, will he be a witness for the prosecution? Probably. You still can't find the Discord. Let me see if I can type it in. Discord. Give me a second. I'm tabbed away. I can't see anybody right now as I go in here and try to find an invite. And I'm going to copy this link. I don't know if it's going to let me paste this in. Okay, you guys have to let me know. Just curious, Devil's Advocates posted https:/2A9GE49V. Did you guys see it, or is it blocked from you and you can't see it? I'll paste it into YouTube as well, but again, I don't know that these apps appreciate URLs. Kimberly sees the address, so that Discord link should take you. Oh, look, my computer needs Windows updates. Not a good time for that. Also, my Discord needs Discord updates. Not a good time for that. All right, you guys got about 5 minutes. 5 minutes if you want to join the After Hours, After Dark show. You need to be 18 or older. Your account on YouTube has to verify that you're 18 or older to join that. Again, up above, the website that you're looking at is devilsadvocates.info. If you go there, right on the front page, it has what's new, a link to what's new, and you can see this information, including a play button that you can click on, and it takes you right to that other channel. You'll have to be queued up. Nobody's there right now because I'm right here. I'm on my main channel. I'm not on the backup channel, but I will be on the backup channel in about 9 minutes. Is Luigi the meddler in the state's eyes? It's hard. That's hard. I understand a lot of people think that the cockroach metaphor is referring to Luigi himself as the cockroach. They cite Kafka and the Metamorphosis story about a man who turns into a cockroach and his family alienates him and stuff like that. I don't think that's what it's about. That's why I didn't cover that. I don't think that's what it is, but a lot of people feel that Luigi is the cockroach if it is a metaphor. Have you been following the Diddy case? Yes and no. I have on my website, hidden now because nobody else cares, is a massive timeline I started building about the Diddy case. A massive timeline, and I have been following it. But what I have found is my shtick at the Devil's Advocate. And by the way, I will be happy to talk on the After Hours show about Diddy. Okay, because one of the reasons I can't talk about Diddy on TikTok is we can't even talk about what he's alleged to have done, because saying what he is alleged to have done and talk about the details, all of that is community guidelines violations. We can't talk about the Diddy case on TikTok. So we will shut down here in about 3 minutes, and we will restart a new live for adults only. And if you want to talk about Diddy, we will talk about Diddy. I would love to talk about Diddy as well. Did Luigi have a Metafont? Metafont. I don't know what that is. What Metafont? Oh, Metamorphosis on his Goodreads. I don't know. Did he have Kafka's Metamorphosis, the story on there? I don't know that he did. It's not letting me join Discord. Eegs. What kind of message are you getting, Rebecca, on TikTok? On YouTube. By the way, Rebecca, on YouTube, if you do want to join the After Hours party, go ahead and join that live that we're going to go live with on the After Hours. And when we get over there, I will talk to you and I will walk through. You can type to me and let me know you're having problems getting into Discord, and I will walk you through getting connected. So if you're having problems, just make sure you get signed into the YouTube audio stream where I'm going to be talking to you, and I'll make sure that I help everybody get into Discord. I got about 2 minutes left for last minute questions. There should be no login requirement on Discord. You may be required to create some kind of account. I don't know. So if you've never had a Discord account, it may require you to create an account, but it should tell you. Carrie, thanks for finding me from Birdie. Birdie's awesome. I love going live with Birdie. Birdie and I have been trying to go live together every Monday, and we'll continue to try to do that. How do you join the YouTube? Either look for the account on YouTube at Devil's Advocates Backstage, or go to my website, devilsadvocates.info, and find the What's New section. It'll tell you about the After Hours party, and there's a link to it right there. There's a little, you could click on the play button that's YouTube, watch on YouTube. It'll take you right to the feed. Anybody else need any last minute help? It's about time to shut down my evening thing. I want to thank you, by the way, everyone who came tonight. It's frustrating to me a little bit that way there's not more people participating. I think these stories are great. I must be missing an opportunity. Tell me what I can do to connect with people more, because it feels like I'm not connecting with a lot of it. But as someone said, I have loyals who have been here from the very beginning, and my loyals are what's the most important to me. You guys have rocked. You guys stand by my side. It's amazing. I just wish that we would all get more energy behind this and get more people that believe in the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, Weekend Lee needs to sign off here and go to that adult After Hours party. Again, if you want to participate in the After Hours party, get the information here. The main thing you need, the main thing you're going to want is to get into the YouTube thing. Once you get into the YouTube thing, if you didn't get the Discord information, I'll give you more time to get that Discord thing going on. And I have to work out some things as well, because I need to put in a headphone set so that I can route my PC speakers to my ear so I can hear you on Discord. Yeah? It's difficult on YouTube?
I mean, sorry, on Discord.
On Discord.
So I took the link from TikTok and I pasted it into Discord, and then it made me log in, and then I was just back at nowhere, and then I clicked on the link in YouTube and it brought me there. But it was awkward. So you might stick around in TikTok a little bit longer and help people out.
It's gonna be. I need to fire up the other thing. So so my wife's telling me that there are gonna be some difficulties, probably for people. So the best thing I can tell you again is please. By the way, there's 2 different links. I'll work all this out with you people. If you guys want to get in, grab your favorite drink, because we're gonna be in for a hell of a night. Grab your favorite drink. Get into the YouTube channel, Devil's Advocates Backstage. Start watching the live. I'm going to be there in about 5 minutes. Thank you for the gifts as well. I'm going to be firing up the adults only conversation. Again, if your account is not 18 or older, you're going to get blocked. So don't tell me that you've got problems getting in if you know that your account's flagged as a minor, because you're not going to get in that way. I'm presuming that you'll be told it's because you're a minor. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I will be talking to you quite a bit on the YouTube other channel to help you get into Discord. So again, if you're having difficulties now, go watch the After Hour Party, and I'll help you get into Discord. Thank you everyone for showing up tonight and listening to my rant. Thank you for likes, follows, subscribes, notification bells on YouTube, all those great things. We're now going to go to weekend mode and say the things that we can't say on monetized channels or channels that go to large audiences. Have fun. Let's get crazy.